Greetings, my good people. This is the HBCU Wall Street Show, where Blackness, entrepreneurship, wealth building, and our beloved HBCUs are all fair game. I'm your host, Bianca Little. This episode of the HBCU Wall Street Show is brought to you by the Motley Fool. Got to pay the bills, of course. Now, if you're not already following us on the socials, please do at HBCU Wall Street, because we're going to be pulling some content from there and we want to hear what you have to say about it. So for tonight's show, we want to focus on a post that we recently put up. And the question is, are HBCUs producing the next wave of billionaires? Now I want to pause there for a second, because it wasn't until I was recently scrolling through TikTok that I really even understood the difference between a million and a billion, and it's substantial. So let's check out this video real quick.
People don't appreciate the difference between a million and a billion. Okay, I did the calculations myself. A million seconds accounts for about a week and a half. Okay, a billion seconds is 32 years long. That's crazy. Okay, let's put this into further context. Okay, if you want to be a millionaire, I can give you $5,000 a day for 6 months, and you'd be a millionaire. If I give you $5,000 a day for 547 years, then you would be a billionaire.
Okay, so mind blown. I don't know about you, but I would definitely take $5,000 a day for 6 months any day to make me a millionaire. But 500 plus years at $5,000 a day, that's definitely something to think about. Okay, so to our question, one of our followers says, it's already happening. Do you not see our progress? Fair. But let's look at some statistics. Only 7 of the 724 billionaires in the US are Black. Most of them being ball players, musicians, actors, etc. Okay, let's scale it back a little bit. Only 8% of all of the millionaires in the United States are Black. So not to say that we're not getting there, but we still have a little bit of a ways to go. If your TikTok algorithm is set up anything like mine, it's full of, apart from financial literacy tips, manifestation stuff, and the guy that always says everything that you have is all that you need and need is all that you have. It's a really long thing. I haven't quite mastered it yet, but the bottom line is it starts with a mindset shift. We have to start thinking billionaire thoughts. So I'm reading this book. I brought it with me. It's called We Should All Be Millionaires by Rachel Rodgers. Now, this is not a paid promotion. I just really enjoy another Black woman telling me that I should be a millionaire, because I concur. So I'm reading the book and it's pretty good so far. But one thing that really stands out to me is she talks about broke ass thoughts versus millionaire thoughts. And maybe we need to upgrade that. We need to start thinking billionaire thoughts. Definitely leave those broke ass thoughts alone. But if we start making billionaire thoughts, then maybe we'll really unlock what it takes for us to reach billionaire status. I have a sneaking suspicion that there's some consistency between what makes a billionaire, regardless as to what path you take to get there, regardless of what your chosen field is. But I really think that it probably starts in the mind. Shoot for the stars, right? Shoot for the moon. Shoot for the moon. Reach for the land in the, shoot for the moon, land amongst the stars, right? Yeah, okay. Lord. Shoot for the moon, land amongst the stars, right? So if we're shooting for billionaire status, that means we all land on millionaire status, and that works for me. So to bring it back full circle, to answer the question, can HBCUs produce the next wave of Black billionaires? The answer is obviously yes. If there's one thing HBCUs are good at, it's affirming that we are excellent and we are excellence. And that's a mindset shift in and of itself. So that's it. That's my take. Let us know what you think. Okay, let's go. Time for Finance 101, and we're gonna start at the very beginning. So the beginning of any financial journey is knowing exactly what your starting point is. And that means knowing what your money situation looks like. How much money is coming in, how much money is going out, and where it's going to. And what is that? That is cash flow. So there's a ton of apps and all kinds of things out there to track this. You can use Mint, you need a budget, any number of things. But the bottom line is you need to look at where your finances are going and where they're coming from. Speaking of budget, I do want to get into that a little bit. But if you're saying to yourself, I already have a budget, I already know what this is, I do this, then I would ask you, When is the last time you looked at your budget? Because if you're anything like me, the answer is it's been a while. I actually looked at it before I did this segment, but that's neither here nor there. And you really should be looking at your budget once a month because it changes, right? Expenses fluctuate, you might have an extra something here or there. So that's why the cash flow plus the budget is really the way to go. Okay, so cash flow and budget. You're gonna use your cash flow to understand how much money you have coming in. So that should go at the top, right? That's the income. And then really look at your cash flow to understand how much money is going out every month. And again, where it's going to. So for example, myself, my personal care area on my budget is going to be pretty substantial. I have to go get my hair done. I have to go get my nails done, though you probably can't tell on this episode, don't zoom in too close, but it's gonna be in my budget one way or the other. So my tip here is just to be realistic. Really use the cash flow to inform you about how you're spending your money and be realistic with where you can make cuts and where you actually will make cuts. I'm not making cuts on my hair budget, but I may skip the latte. Although it is really a myth that skipping lattes is really gonna build your wealth, but you know. So when you make this amazing budget and you look at this amazing budget every single month, that's when you start to get a really clear idea of how much money you have that's available to start doing these sexier things in finance, where you can start investing, you can start considering buying rental properties. You can buy an EFT of, I don't know, a cat like in a dress or something. The EFTs are just like crazy these days, but they're apparently worth a lot of money, so sure. But anyways, the bottom line is start with a budget, understand your cash flow, and that will take you to the journey, hopefully, to becoming a millionaire, or hey, why not a billionaire? Weird. Isn't that what it is? Okay, I know I just said EFT, I meant NFT. Y'all know what I meant. So like I said, I just revisited my budget right before this show, so I'm totally open to budgeting tips. Tell me what you guys do to budget. Give me your tips. Let's talk about it. So I'd like to share a piece of this really interesting conversation our media consultant, Jaleel Thurman, had with Dan Ajigu of our sponsor, the Motley Fool.
For a long time, I believed investing was for rich old white men. And it really wasn't something I would be able to do or something that I'd be able to grasp. And it wasn't until somebody kind of blurred that for me and helped me out that I kind of saw it, right? And that's really what I needed when I was 20 or 21, you know, somebody that looked like me, somebody that spoke like me to tell me, it's not that tough, it's not that intimidating. Here's really how you can put your first foot out there and start betting on yourself. But I can't fault anybody that's never had that foundation, that's never had those discussions. I can understand why it's so intimidating.
So what Dan is talking about here is the importance of representation and exposure. And that's exactly what we're trying to do here at HBCU Wall Street. You don't have to be part of an old boys club anymore to get exposure to investing and venture capital and entrepreneurship and all these things. There's YouTube, there's HBCUWallStreet.com, check us out, and a plethora of other resources where our community can learn everything that you need to know to be just as successful and to get just as much access to the tips and information that you need to be successful in these various arenas. Nowadays, most of us are self-managing our investment portfolios. There's so much information out there. There are so many podcasts that are giving us the tools to be able to do this ourselves. Not to mention all of the apps that allow us to actively trade. There's people I know making all kinds of money doing stocks and, not stocks, what is the other thing? Options trading, yeah. Oh man. Not to mention the wide availability of applications that allow us to easily and oftentimes for free actively manage our portfolios on our own. And there's all kinds of other products that are available to help guide us on what types of investments to make. For example, the Motley Fool. And if you're not familiar with the Motley Fool, I'm gonna let Dan tell you a little bit more about it.
Our overall goal and our purpose really is to make the world smarter, happier, and richer. And we do that through financial literacy because it can be such a vehicle for change, for improving your life. And for us, it's to kind of debunk some of the notions that exist, right? That you need to be a guy on Wall Street with a 3-piece $10,000 suit to teach this stuff. No, this is accessible to anybody. So, we try to remove some of that finance specific jargon and give everyone an equitable shot at this.
So you have all of this power to invest on your phone and all of these services and resources to guide you on how to invest, such as the Motley Fool. But then the question becomes, how do you start on this journey? Well, let's hear what Dan has to say.
I mean, it really starts individually. What do you want out of this, right? Is this, and how long are you willing to kind of power through? Is this for your retirement? Is this a, second stream of income? Is this you moving, your savings account into investing and building wealth? Figure that out first, right? And then figure out what your investing style is. So it's a lot of introspective question asking before you even type anything in Google. It's really trying to figure out what you want out of this investing journey. And then again, it helped me is really starting to research companies that I use and products that I use and seeing if there's opportunity to invest in them, because you're going to have a certain comfort level with those companies and those products. So start there and then build from there.
So what do you want out of this? Now, we're not talking about some existential life-altering question, although if you're able to get there, that's wonderful. But you should really start by figuring out what your investing goals and objectives are, because it's really going to make a difference in your investing strategy. The type of risks you take, the type of stocks you pick, how much money you put into your portfolio every month. All of those things are really going to be based on what you're trying to achieve and when you're trying to achieve it. So I encourage you to really take some time to think about, what do you want out of this investing journey? Or what do you want out of this? To think about, what do you want out of this? What do you want out of this? Thank you, Jaleel. Thank you, Dan. Also want to thank our sponsors, the Motley Fool. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next time on the HBCU Wall Street Show. Take care.